This is another episode of Stand-Up Comedy, your host and MC, celebrating 40-plus years on the fringe of show business. Stories, interviews, and comedy sets from the famous and not so famous. Here's your host and MC, Scott Edwards.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast, man. I'm already laughing because I'm talking to one of my best friends in the comedy world. He has been interviewed once before. Let's get him on the show, and then I'll tell you a little bit about him. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the one and only Bruce Baum.
Oh, sit down.
They're so excited to have you back on the show, Bruce.
And I'm excited. Just don't send me everybody's laundry bill.
Okay. That would be very excited. Hey, tell you what, I'm going to put Bruce on hold for a minute. I want to tell you a little bit about Bruce. Now, you should go back and listen to the first interview. It was really in-depth. It was a few years ago, but let me catch you up. He's a professional stand-up comic. He's a filmmaker. He's a musician. Now, how does that all come together? Well, he created an amazing character called Babyman that was not only seen on stage in a very funny way, but it was also in a comic book and seen in some movie stuff. I mean, it's crazy how Babyman got around. Then he had a hit single called Marty Feldman Eyes that made it on the Billboard charts. He was featured as an animated character on The Simpsons. He's done tons of TV like Make Me Laugh and Full House, and was even in a few movies like Shakes the Clown and
Faith Wins.
Oh, Faith Wins. There you go. In other words, this man has had an amazing career. And if that wasn't enough, we got hooked up early on at Laughs Unlimited, and he got me into the world of animation, which, it was a whole nother area for me. I wrote a book. I still deal in the stuff. It's crazy. But Bruce Baum, with a master's in film and all this great comic genius, it's been a couple of years. What have you been up to?
Oh, by the way, I should mention that Babyman was also featured in several cheap motels for the right price. I've been making little videos and putting together. Most guys are doing stand-up specials now. And so what I've done is I've taken all the sketches that I own over the years, and I put them into 4 half-hour shows. Hopefully I'll be able to sell them as a short summer series called Bruce Baum's Personal Stash. and these sketches have everybody from Bob Saget, George Carlin, Gary Shandling, and all the guys that were around when I started and when I was in film school. And I've also got some stuff that I just recently shot. So I've been doing that, and a couple other little independent projects. The making of Letters from a Nut, which is a book I co-wrote.
I forgot to mention successful author. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. And so that's what I'm doing, and I'm not really traveling as much anymore. That's my choice. It's just I look out there and see what's going on as far as passengers and time schedules and people missing gigs because of flights. So if I can drive it, I usually do the gigs now. And but I'm having fun. I've got a YouTube channel. I had to eventually call it just Bruce Baum because I originally called it Bruceville, but there is a Bruceville, and they were taking all of the. So I've got YouTube and Instagram. In fact, if you go to brucebaum.com, and that's BAUM, not BOMB, they've got the buttons there. You don't have to search. You can press YouTube or Instagram or Facebook. It'll take you right to my sketches. But I've been doing a little, like under 1 minute little things. Some of the titles are Beyonce and the Three Stooges, and a couple other things. So if you go to the little shorts, they're usually under 50 seconds. So it's like, I guess I call them a quick comedy squirt. So,
well, those are the popular things these days, that short film clips, TikTok clicks, whatever you want to call them, seem to be the way that people are connecting. I put a lot of promo videos out that are under a minute to go along with my 2 different podcasts. But Bruce, I mean, you started off playing football at UCLA and UC Davis. You started doing stand-up comedy. You had such huge success. In fact, in recent years, you were even making and selling some amazing hot sauce. You have kind of an eclectic life going.
I get bored. Yeah, I should mention that when I was playing at UCLA, we were in the Pac-2. No, actually, it was the Pac-8 back then, which is gone now. Yeah, I started making the hot sauce. I used to not be able to eat anything hot, and then I had I had head and neck cancer, and I heard hot peppers were really good antioxidants, and I couldn't find organic ones in the store consistently. I started making my own, and then I made a little sauce. Took it to radio stations who went, wow, this is great. Why aren't you selling this? So after about a year or two, I started, making it and bottling it. And the only reason I really stopped is it took so long to ship them. And ShipStation and the U.S. Post Office made so many mistakes that I just couldn't. I figured I'm going to go back and start making videos again. And so that's what I'm doing now. I grow a little crop for myself and making videos for the world.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. The hot sauce was amazing, but shipping can be a pain in the ass. And the videos, I think, does lend itself more to your background. I mean, you have a master's in film. You used to do a lot of great videos, and you had some great success with the music video for Marty Feldman Eyes. So film and video are really a part of the constitution of Bruce Baum. I remember even back in the 80s and 90s, you were doing some great short films. In fact, as you mentioned, you got a chance to work with George Carlin and Gary Shandling and a number of people. Was there anybody you worked with that intimidated you, or were you ever starstruck?
Probably Carlin. When I was in college, my student films had Robin Williams and David Letterman, but we were all playing the store at that time. But George Carlin was a real, I grew up, my parents never, I don't know if I talked about this last time, but my parents never had music albums. They had comedy albums. So I listened to George Carlin, Richard Pryor, Shelley Berman, Alan Sherman. Those were the kind of things I listened to growing up. And Don Rickles. So yeah, when I did the Don Rickles special, that's another one. Because I grew up closing the door and listening to Don Rickles by myself in my room. Yeah, when I got to do the Don Rickles special on HBO or direct George Carlin in one of my pieces, yeah, that was a life highlight. That was,
Yeah, that would be really exciting. Anybody interested in comedy would just be wowed by being in the presence of comedic giants like that. But you also have had an edge and a lean towards music. So you had a chance to meet Ringo Starr. That had to be incredible.
Oh yeah. I got to open for him for a few shows, and that was incredible. Yeah, that happened in a weird way too. I was in Vegas. I was playing Vegas, and my agents asked me about a month or two before the gig, Ringo Starr wants to see a tape of you, but you won't know if you get the gig possibly till the day before, 2 days before the gig. So I'm playing Vegas. And by the way, I was the last holdout to get a cell phone. But I had just gotten a cell phone. My agent calls and said, Ringo wants you to open the show starting tomorrow night. And that was in Northern California. I was in Vegas. And I happened to get the call because I had a cell phone. So I went down to the entertainment director and said, look, I've got a chance to open for Ringo. Can I get out of the next the rest of the week? And he said, well, get somebody to replace you. So I did. Thank God I had a cell phone because I called, it was Tim O'Rourke, who's no longer with us. But he came up and did those shows. I took a flight and got there just in time. And it was his all-star band. He had Jack Bruce from Cream. He had Gary Booker from Procol Harum. It was incredible because I had Todd Lundgren. Because I could just do my show and smoke a J and go watch their show, which was great.
Well, knowing what a big fan you are of rock and roll and music in general, that had to be a real highlight and honor to open for Ringo Starr. But the fact that remains is that it was your comedic talent that really led to all these opportunities. For example, being animated on The Simpsons. I mean, not a lot of people can say that.
No, and if they do, I slap them across the face. And that validated me with my kids. And as far as music goes, I had a couple other little songs out. Don't You Wish Your Boyfriend Was Bald Like Me?
Oh, I'm sorry. I may have missed that one. That must have been a big hit.
Well, it was. I told them not to let Scott hear it. And then I got to do, I did short films on Fox for 2 years, on Comic Strip Live and Sunday Comics. And then I did for 2 years on America's Funniest People, where I had my own segment. So I really enjoyed that. Having, I think short form is my strength. On stage, I pretty much go joke, 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 joke. There are no usually long stories. And then the same thing with everybody's attention span shortening now. I've always been sketch oriented. So, thank goodness there was a place for me somewhere.
Well, yeah, and you're right about people's attention span. And so all the work you've done over the last 30, 40 years, you can still use and because you kind of specialized in short film, in short videos, I think it's great that you have an opportunity in this day and age to share the humor of Bruce Baum because it is unique. It's always funny. In the beginning, you were kind of known for a prop comic, but you moved beyond that and started adding music and just straight funny jokes. And it's been such an amazing career. And we want to remind everybody, if you'd like to tap into this, just go to brucebaum.com, brucebaum.com. You can find all these things. Now, I know I've been seeing you posting some of your shorts on the internet and social media, but we're going into 2026. Is there any projects, like when will you hear about that video project or what's planned for the next year?
Well, I should be all wrapped up in the next couple of weeks. So, hopefully it'll be accessible in a couple months. And if nobody takes it, I'll put it out there for people to see anyway.
I'm assuming that through brucebaum.com that whatever happens, we'll have some way of marketing that and connecting to it. So that is still the easiest way to find all the very funny stuff by Bruce Baum, right?
That's where all things Bruce Baum take place. It's comedy the whole family can enjoy, depending on how you raise your family.
Well, it's interesting because you and I have experienced quite a bit over the years. And I alluded to animation. Do you still have some of your original cells?
I have a couple, not many, but the shows that I'm telling you about, the personal stash, I did animation for it. I had animation done. So there's animation, throughout the show. It's not half the show, but there is animation just because it's something that influenced me and now I'm throwing it back out there.
Did you get a cell of you as on The Simpsons?
Yes, I did. They gave me.
That would be so cool to have.
Yeah, I've got that. It's up on the wall.
Oh, I'm so envious. That is so cool. You got me into it big time. I wrote a book on it. I've been into collecting animation at a couple art galleries, and I'm just catching you up. Sorry, audience. But I did start, as I'm getting older, decide I needed to thin my collection, and I have about 50 pieces going through auction, Heritage Auction House out of Dallas, Texas, and so far they're doing pretty well. So thank you for getting me into animation. It's been a really good side hustle for me, something I really appreciate, the art form itself and being a part of it and learning about it. So I owe all of that to you, Bruce. You talked about all the stuff you've done in the past and how you're kind of repackaging it. And we talked about this future video project that people can find through brucebaum.com. It was interesting because I did notice that you had gotten back up on stage recently. You had taken a hiatus. Are you regularly getting back and doing stand-up, or is just special occasions?
I kind of pick and choose, because for me, if I've laid off a while and I have a date, it's not just that day, every show is important to me. So a day or two before, I'm like honing my head, so to speak, which is illegal in 3 states. But, it's not just one day to me. When I go out on the road, even in the old days, when I'd go out for a couple of weeks at a time, you got to keep yourself in shape and your mind sharp. And I really enjoy making short videos. So with everybody else out there doing stand-up, when I started, stand-up was new. You know that. You were there.
Yep.
And nobody else was doing it. It was like brand new. The audiences, it was a different kind of laughter. It was like a baby laughing, having never seen anything before and just laughing, wild and free. Now there's so much out there that it's not special anymore. I hate to sound jaded because I'm not jaded. So that wasn't anything from my body. I opened up a can. But I've always wanted to do things that nobody else is doing. So that's why
yeah. And, we're both getting older and the road can be really difficult for anybody, but especially an older married guy with a family and everything. It's hard to be on the road. And I think because you have a background in film and video and you've had so much success over those decades, that sticking to that and working with that for the next few years, I think will bring you some joy and happiness and have some fun doing it. I know that with my audio podcast, it's had some great success over the last 6 years, but my new video podcast, the Tag Team Talent podcast that just launched in March, where I'm using videos. In fact, I had some old video of you. It's gone over very well with the audiences, and that is building up. It's a whole new world for me doing video. I haven't got the history you do, but working with it now, I can see all the things that you can do with it. And I think it's so great that you have such a wealth of content and you're finding ways to utilizing it.
Yeah. And just because I'm not really touring much, you can't stop being funny, so.
Well, my wife would say I can.
Well, so would my wife. So the wives tend to go, oh, that again, so.
It's so true.
So, yeah, usually if I have a new joke and I run it by my wife and she doesn't like it, it's surefire. If she laughs at it, I don't think I've even tried to put it on stage. So.
Well, I'm got to say I'm selfish. If I had a chance to see Bruce Baum on stage again, I would leap at it because you were one of the unique and very funny, high energy guys back in the day. I mean, every night, the effort you went through to do Babyman, which folks, if you can find it somewhere, try to see it because it's an amazing piece of comedy material. But I understand as a producer that utilizing the content you have and creating new film and video content can be very helpful to your personal happiness and growth. And you having that unique Bruce Baum mind, which is, let's admit, a little twisted. I know that there's going to be some great product and content coming out of that.
And I'm actually toying with the idea of doing a one-man show that incorporates all of that. Me talking about, being there when the comedy boom started and what even made me want to be a comedian and just everything, and incorporate video, make it sort of a multimedia presentation.
That would be really cool. And you could, that would something I could see you could start off, kind of test the waters. You could probably take that to UCLA or one of the schools as something that would educate the kids.
I could do that, or I could try it out in a few clubs on one of their off nights that has a big stage and see whether I can't draw and at least work it out to where it's ready to take off-Broadway. And for me, off-Broadway is anything from the Pacific Coast to Missouri.
So, ladies and gentlemen, when you hear of Bruce Baum off-Broadway, it might be Fresno, California, but he has so much talent, so much amazing video from over the years. I mean, I was right there when you produced Marty Feldman Eyes. It was so much fun. We had such a great time. And so thank you for all the years of laughter and joy that you brought me and my family. But ladies and gentlemen, we've said it several times. Don't miss out. Check out brucebaum.com. Hey, Bruce, anything you want to share with the audience before we let you go?
Let's see. Well, in a little while, I'll have my other book. I haven't got anything up for sale now. I don't want to make it look like I'm trying to fleece anybody. So I'm waiting for a little while, and then I'll be ready to fleece everybody. But I've got another book that I wrote called On Hold, and I only wrote it when I was on hold on the phone. And it's got fairy tales, Baum's fairy tales. It's also got fairyless tales where there's no fairies at all, and then just odd little thoughts that I thought of, all written while I was on hold on the phone.
Well, that sounds like a great idea. You have had a couple books out that did really well that you co-wrote, and to have one come out on your own, and I can imagine, knowing your comedic mind, that a short story, on hold book would be very funny, and I can't wait. You're going to have to come back on the show and let us know when you author and produce that.
I will do that. It's already authored. I just have to. It was sold for a while. I took it off, and I'm going to do a couple little tweaks. I guess they call that an abridged version. So yeah, I'm going to make a couple more tweaks, make it a little bit better, and then it'll be out there again.
And that's called On Hold?
On Hold.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've learned so much. There's music videos, there's films, there's other videos, his stand-up comedy, and brucebaum.com will be featuring On Hold, his newest book coming up soon, and your video project. There's so much going on, Bruce. Thanks so much for sharing it with my audience.
Thank you, Scott, and my best to your family. I could do it by name, Jill and Bobby. And the best to all of you. It's been a pleasure, a fun pleasure knowing you all these years.
Oh, it really vice versa, man. I appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a great short interview with my very good friend, Bruce Baum. I mentioned many times his stand-up comedy. I have one of his old sets here. Let's jump into it and have a little comedy by Bruce Baum.
I made a terrible mistake this morning. I accidentally put my chameleon lizard on a plaid shirt and he exploded. I've been working with a group of people. We help handicapped animals. Right now I've been teaching dyslexic geese how to fly south for the winter. It's not that tough. You just put a map up in front of a mirror and they're gone. So I was in Oklahoma City recently. Is anybody here from Oklahoma City? Because I'll tell you, well, regardless, Oklahoma City's got to be the only town in the country you can drive a Ford Fairmont into a parking lot and people come out and admire your car. You guys Springsteen fans? Now, you guys bought that new 39 record set from Birth Till Yesterday? Now, I'm a Springsteen fan, but it's gotten to the point where he can sing about anything and make it sound serious. He could be going, does your chewing gum lose its flavor on the bedpost overnight? Whoa! Some incredibly long raps before each song, too, huh? You know, I'll never forget the night we decided to record that tune. I was up on Wendy's porch doing an acoustical version of Thunder Road, and my sister had just lost her job at the laundromat. She was dancing on the dryers playing hacky sack. And we were just sitting there up on the porch listening to the frogs and the crickets, and Wendy's mom putting away leftovers in little Tupperware dishes and sticking them in the refrigerator, waiting until maybe later on someone wanted to come by and... I was feeling real romantic towards Wendy. Wanted to whisper in her ear. So I got real close. By God, I was so close I could feel the hairs on her earlobes up against my lips. I said, Wendy. She said, yeah. I said, Wendy. She said, yeah. I said, Wendy, let it rock! And I remember her looking right back at me and going, don't ever do that again, you doofus! Jeez, you're... God, that hurts. I gotta tell you, there's some... If you guys read about... They're letting people out on the streets now from prison that have no business out. Have you read about these guys? They got a guy, I know there's the one everybody's talking about now, but there was a guy a couple of months ago who had dismembered his girlfriend and sent her parts in the mail. This guy is out on parole so long as he takes pills. Can you imagine being at a party with this guy when he goes, is anybody,
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back next week with some more great stand-up comedy. Bruce Baum, thanks for joining us on the show.
Thank you, and happy everything.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it from Bruce. Happy everything. Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Stand Up Comedy, Your Host and MC. For information on the show, merchandise, and our sponsors, or to send comments to Scott, visit our website at www.standupyourhostandmc.com. Look for more episodes soon and enjoy the world of stand-up comedy. Visit a comedy showroom near you.